talk about Sarah Andrews and how she's just continued to be a spark plug for you guys. Another 20-point performance.
Yeah, I thought early she was really unaggressive. Not playing downhill, and I took her out and kind of challenged her, and I thought when she went back in the game, she was a big catalyst for us, playing downhill. We put in a new out-of-bounds action. She hit 2 threes off of it, and I thought she was getting to the rim. Thought she was also getting fouled going to the rim, but she didn't seem to have any free throws tonight. So, I just thought for the most part, once she came back in the game, I thought she was really, really good.
Talk about the team's effort closing the first half on a 16-1 run, and what was the message to the team in the locker room?
That I didn't care how many minutes you'd played at Baylor or what year or what class, that if you were going to be in the game, you had to play hard or you were going to come out of the game. And, I thought, our bench, some kids that haven't played a lot of minutes, but I thought our bench came in and played hard. And, it was about starting the third quarter, how we ended the second. I thought we got, some good minutes from Asia. Haven't seen her in a long time, and it's probably a long road back to think we're going to get, the Asia that we had the first, month of the season before her injury. But I thought she gave us a spark there at the end, and I thought we opened the third quarter well, and then not so much there for a while.
The fourth quarter shooting for you guys obviously is probably what's going to stand out on the box score, but it looked like you guys were getting good looks, running pretty good offense. Is it just a matter of being on the road and sometimes those shots just don't go in, or what did you see there?
Yeah, Jamie didn't make shots all night, so, I don't know that it was fourth quarter. It was for her, it was all game long, and she's a really, really good shooter. And so, with Jamie, I always believe the next one's going in. And, but obviously between Jamie and Jaden, they just didn't have any offensive production tonight, and that hurt us. We're not a team. We are not a team that's good when we have one big score. We're just not. That's not who we are. We don't have Melissa Smith anymore. So we're at our best when we're sharing the ball, when we're assisting on our baskets. Like even 14 assists on 24 baskets, that's not good for us. Not for us. And so, a lot of that was missed shots. If we're driving and we're kicking and we're making the extra pass and we're missing open shots, we certainly need to make some of those open shots that we miss. But, I thought at times we just didn't play downhill, well enough against them. Again, they were better playing downhill in the ball screen than we were.
Talk about Dariana a little bit, 6th double-double of the year, and just how she's continued to develop as a freshman on this team.
Yeah, I thought she's been a little up and down, she struggled at OU and then played great at Kansas, struggled a little against Oklahoma State, and then really challenged her to rim run tonight, and took her out early because I didn't think she was running as hard as she could, and she came back in the game and got a couple layups and got fouled in transition, made her free throws. She was the most active player we had on the offensive glass. When you don't shoot the basketball very well, you got to go get extra possessions, and I thought she does a good job of pursuing the ball. Needs to understand, like, when she gets it, where she's at, and not throw it to the other team. But I think she played with a ton of energy. She was rolling, getting behind the defense, and then finishing. I just, we kind of need that same kind of catapult at the beginning, though, in terms of her ability to be oftentimes more athletic than the person guarding her.
Coach, West Virginia started off hot with a few three-pointers, got you guys into a pretty big hole, but then second quarter, your team really flipped it around. What changed in the second quarter, and how important was that going into the third quarter where you guys also started pretty hot?
I think some of our success in the second quarter was J.J. Quinterly sitting on the bench. That helped. She's such a threat with the ball in her hands, playing downhill. She's making threes. So that was some of it. I think you play the law of averages with teams. And quite frankly, Hemingway and Blackstein and those guys just aren't statistically good three-point shooters, you know. And sometimes it's fool's gold, like if you make an early one a little bit, you know, like Blackstein made that first one, and then, you know, and then she ended the half one for 5 from 3. And so, you know, that's 4 possessions she's not in the lane where she's bigger than us and longer than us. And so in some ways, that can be a good thing. Now, she hit a huge one. You know, she hit a huge one in the second half, but you saw she only took 1. And she took, like, you know, a dagger one as opposed to, like, kind of falling in love with a shot that's not your most efficient shot. But I thought Hemingway, you know, stuck a couple early. And I thought Hemingway was a big catalyst for them in the first half, especially in the first quarter. I thought she was really good. She attacked us downhill. She got an offensive rebound. You know, was a mismatch challenge for us when we play smaller. And so, you know, we had to move matchups around a little bit because of that. And so, you know, I was proud of how we battled back. I mean, obviously 20-10 second quarter, the run we were on, the run we took, you know, into the third quarter. But they got to be super proud of kind of how resilient they were. Like, I know she subbed 4 people at once looking for energy, and she got it. You know, that group came in and did a little bit of what, when I put that second unit in the first half, like they gave them a lot of energy and juice, and you know, those guys played better when they came back in, and they made more plays down the stretch than we did. We missed some execution stuff, even coming out of a timeout. And, you know, I'm someone that feels like we may not make every shot, but I'm pretty confident that I can diagram something that's going to get them a shot. You know, like, and so when we don't execute an action and it looks bad, like, I'm pretty frustrated, you know, because I think most of the time, you know, we're going to get a shot. We may not make it, but, you know, we just weren't very good from midway through the third, you know, kind of the rest of the way.
Coach, you mentioned, I was going to ask you about Blackstein. I mean, obviously, she did hit a couple threes, but also did some stuff in the paint. Did that force, I mean, all of a sudden, you know, usually when you see like an underdog maybe kind of play up a little bit, there's somebody maybe unexpected who, you know, kind of steps up, and maybe that was kind of her tonight. I'm just kind of.
Well, I mean, certainly, I think her and Hemingway both. I mean, Hemingway pretty much doubled her scoring average. Blackstein almost tripled her scoring average. I mean, when you look at, you know, it's like, I probably talk way too much in these things. You know, a lot of coaches are like, oh, we didn't play hard, or we didn't do this, or we. The reality is, for them, wins versus losses, they lose when Quinterly and Smith have to do too much. You know, it's no different than Sarah had to do too much for us today. Like, they're at their best, wins versus losses, when those guys score less and everybody else scores more. You know, when the Hemingways and Blacksteins and Watsons and Nichols and those guys play above their scoring average, that's when this team is really dangerous, because you know they're going to defend you really, really hard. And so when they get balanced scoring, then they can balance out the fact that you know they're going to get that, you know that she's going to defend. I mean, and her teams are going to defend. And so, you know, I think both of them gave them a lift. I think we didn't do a good job. I mean, honestly, like, we didn't do a good job taking away Blackstein's left shoulder. Like, that's, you know, she went over her left shoulder at will, and we didn't sit on it. We didn't do a good enough job sitting on it, and you know, but she made big plays for them. I thought, you know, the 3 was as big a play in the second half as any. You know, just when you're holding teams off and you're trying to create separation, those are big moments, really big moments for teams. And you know, that's gonna probably, like, give her confidence for the next game. It's amazing this game is so mental, and you know, you have one game where you're knocking down shots and making plays, and that feeds into the next. It feeds into the next. So.
Kansas State on Wednesday, it's kind of a tight turnaround there, but what do you have to do and work on to come back out on top against Kansas State?
Well, Kansas State can shoot the 3, so we got to guard the arc better. You know, but they'll also get you stretched out 5 out and attack and played a mismatches. Gregory's a mismatch nightmare, and has led the league in scoring, and so different kind of team, very different kind of team, but dangerous in a different way. And obviously West Virginia went in there and won there on the road, but took Holden off a run, and this team, West Virginia team, it looks like they got blown out by OU, but it was one vintage OU run that beat them, not the game. It's diving on a ball that you're not going to get, and Taylor Robertson hitting a three to go into the end of the third, go into the fourth quarter, and then Maddie Williams hits a three, and then OU starts smiling and celebrating, and before you know it, they've gone on a 14-0 run, and believe me, we've seen them. So, I just think everybody in this league is good, and you better show up, every night, because there aren't any guarantees.